Baldoni's lawyer wrote, evidence of Lively's pre-existing reputation is not being offered for the truth that she's a mean girl bully, difficult to work with, or tone deaf, but to establish Lively's reputation prior to the alleged smear campaign to show that defendants' alleged conduct did not cause further harm to her existing reputation.
$161 million. That is the staggering number Blake Lively is demanding in a legal battle that just turned nuclear. New court filings have hit the public record, and they aren't just dry legal papers. We are talking about leaked text messages, brutal depositions, and financial records that expose everything. The mask hasn't just slipped, it has been completely ripped off. Blake is raging because the evidence isn't supporting her story anymore. She claims she was the victim of a calculated smear campaign, but these new documents suggest something much darker is going on behind the scenes.
Another promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
The central argument from Justin Baldoni's legal team is a total bombshell. They aren't just defending him, they are putting Blake's entire history on trial. His lawyers stated that evidence of her reputation isn't being used to prove she is difficult to work with, but to show she already had that reputation long before any alleged smear campaign. Essentially, they are saying you can't destroy a reputation that was already on fire. This strategy has sent shockwaves through Hollywood because it opens the door to decades of mean girl behavior being used as official court evidence.
I hope to never, ever, ever be complacent, because I think that that's one of the most tragic things that I could ever.
It all goes back to the Gossip Girl set in 2007. While the world thought Serena and Blair were best friends, the reality was a Cold War. Showrunners have now confirmed that Blake and Leighton Meester were not friends and actively avoided each other when the cameras stopped. But it is the footage that is resurfacing in these filings that is truly chilling. In one interview, Blake looked directly at Leighton and made a comment about pet monkeys, essentially calling her co-star an animal. When the tension became unbearable, she laughed it off as a joke. It is a pattern that is finally catching up to her.
I'm one of 5 kids. My husband's one of 4, so, we are officially breeders. You can go on our website and we will give you some of our children.
But the monkey comment was just the beginning. There is an even more disturbing video where Blake makes a joke about people who start in cages. To the average viewer, it sounds like random nonsense, but context is everything. Leighton Meester's mother was actually incarcerated when Leighton was born, and she spent the start of her life in a halfway house. Blake wasn't just being insensitive, she was allegedly weaponizing her co-star's deepest family trauma for a punchline. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a targeted strike disguised as sarcasm, and it is now part of a legal record.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Even on the red carpet, where everything is supposed to be perfect, the dominance displays were caught on camera. Footage shows Blake literally grabbing Leighton and dragging her around the frame to get the specific shot she wanted. It didn't look like two friends posing for a photo. It looked like a power move. She was establishing her territory and showing the photographers exactly who was in charge of the narrative. This wasn't about looking good, it was about control. This need for absolute authority has become a recurring theme in the depositions that are currently exploding her case.
He said, Ms. Lively has a track record of brands that have not succeeded. She is seeking pie-in-the-sky damages.
Fast forward to 2016, and the mask slip moment started happening more frequently. In one infamous video, Blake referred to herself and her family as breeders, even joking that people could go to her website to take her children. While she tries to play this off as high-level sarcasm, critics in the court filings argue it shows a fundamental lack of respect for the people around her. She treats working professionals like they are invisible if they aren't famous enough. It is a specific brand of elitism that has rubbed people the wrong way for years, and now it is being quantified as a liability.
Magnus.
Yes.
When I saw you earlier, you said, "Oh, let me get a shot." And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin, who's owned by a very, very sexy man, who also happens to be my husband.
Even as recently as the 2024 London premiere of It Ends With Us, the behavior hasn't changed. There is footage of her completely dismissing a fan who tried to give her a friendship bracelet, a gesture that has become a symbol of kindness in pop culture. Her reaction was cold and performative. When you piece these moments together, you don't see a victim of a smear campaign. You see a consistent personality trait that has existed for nearly 20 years. The court is now looking at these documented moments as proof that Blake's public image problems are entirely self-inflicted.
Fans slam Blake Lively for bullying Kate Middleton as she pokes fun at Photoshop fail. Now, this is the key word. It says it in the headline. Blake Lively.
The most damaging piece of evidence might be what the internet calls Kate Gate. In early 2024, Princess Catherine vanished from public life, sparking global concern. When it was revealed she was battling cancer, the world offered support, but Blake Lively saw a marketing opportunity. She used her brand, Betty Buzz, to post an image mocking the princess's Photoshop scandal just to sell mixer bottles. Think about the level of calculation required to mock a woman fighting for her life just to move some product. It was a moment of pure, unfiltered coldness that the public will never forget.
People will deliver what she wants to hear because they're getting a check from her legal.
This is where Blake's legal strategy completely falls apart. She claims Justin Baldoni made people hate her during the movie's press tour in late 2024. But the Kate Middleton mockery happened months earlier, in March. Justin's lawyers are using this timing to prove that the public had already turned on her because of her own choices. You can't blame a director for a backlash that started when you decided to mock a sick princess for clicks. This timeline is the smoking gun that suggests the Mean Girl label isn't a conspiracy. It is just a natural reaction to her own problematic actions.
The worse it looks.
Well, you know what? You may be asked to join Baldoni's legal team because his lawyers have made similar arguments saying that Blake Lively has a poor track record of running businesses and that they fail because bully people.
So,
the recent pre-trial conference in New York lasted 3 grueling hours, and it was a disaster for Blake's team. The judge presided over a battle of expert witnesses that revealed the sheer scale of this war. Blake's lawyers are trying to argue that the millions of negative comments about her online were artificially generated. They want the court to believe that the internet's hatred is fake, manufactured by a bot farm hired by Justin. It is a desperate attempt to ignore the fact that real people are genuinely upset with how she handles her business and her public interactions.
That's a very big distinction that the jury's going to be told. Like, listen, just because we're admitting she complained about X, doesn't mean X was actually happening. It just means we shouldn't punish her for saying X.
But here is the twist. Justin's team fired back by bringing in an AI marketing specialist. This expert is prepared to show exactly how bot farms work and who is actually using them. The evidence suggests that if anyone is manipulating the narrative with fake traffic, it is the side spending $50 million on legal fees and reputation management. That is right, Blake and Ryan Reynolds have reportedly poured a small fortune into this fight. They've hired crisis consultants and legal armies to bury one director who just wanted to make a movie. It is an obsession that is starting to backfire.
Isabel Ferrer did not raise complaints with Wayfair at all and had previously given very positive feedback about her experience, including her interactions with Justin and the film's intimacy.
Experts who study celebrity litigation are calling this level of spending a sign of total delusion. They argue that Blake and Ryan can't accept that they might be in the wrong, so they keep pouring money into a hole that just keeps getting deeper. Instead of apologizing or moving on, they have doubled down on a strategy that makes them look more out of touch every single day. The court documents describe Blake's behavior as driven by an overweening ambition and an intense need for control. This isn't just a legal battle anymore. It is a psychological profile of a power couple in crisis.
The first email that Colleen replied with, and it does say, I'm going to skip right to the 3rd paragraph, where it says, I've sold several film options and I realize not all of them get made, and I'm okay with that. One of the film options was not a great experience.
Now let's talk about that insane demand for $161 million. When you break down the math, it becomes clear why Justin's lawyers are calling it pie in the sky. Blake is claiming she lost up to $142 million in future acting earnings because of this feud. Her team is projecting that she was about to become the most prolific actress in history, earning 6 times her historical average over the next 5 years. It is a fantasy version of her career that doesn't match her actual resume. She is suing for money that she was never actually on track to make in the first place.
If I were to offer a remedy to the human condition, it would be
Her own financial records, which were produced for the court, tell a very different story. Over the last 8 years, Blake earned a total of $21 million across 4 films. That is an average of about $2.5 million per movie. So, how does her legal team jump from a $21 million reality to a $142 million projection? It is a mathematical impossibility that has the legal community laughing. When your own records prove you aren't the box office draw you claim to be, your entire lawsuit starts to look like a desperate attempt to secure a payday you didn't earn. It gets even more ridiculous when you look at the $35 million she is demanding for a sequel. She is claiming that Justin destroyed the possibility of a second movie for It Ends With Us. But here is the catch. There was never a contract for a sequel. There was no deal in place, no script, and no guarantee it would ever happen. You cannot sue someone for speculative money from a project that only exists in your head. Justin's team pointed this out immediately, labeling the claim as highly speculative and legally groundless. It is another example of the entitlement driving this case. Blake is also blaming Justin for the failure of her hair care and beverage brands, claiming over $70 million in business losses. She says his smear campaign killed her sales. However, her own financial records show that Betty Buzz was already struggling long before the movie even started filming. The company was failing to sell its mixer line and had to pivot to alcohol just to stay afloat. Her hair care line collapsed because she chose to promote it during a press tour for a movie about domestic violence. That wasn't a smear campaign. That was just a massive marketing failure. Perhaps the most baffling part of the financial filing is the $30 million Blake actually threw away herself. She was entitled to a massive bonus for the movie, but she reportedly refused to sign her final agreement because of a workplace tantrum. She literally walked away from $30 million out of pure stubbornness and pride. Now, she is in court asking a judge to make Justin pay her that money back. It is a level of financial irresponsibility that is hard to wrap your head around. She is effectively suing for the consequences of her own refusal to work within the system. The alliances Blake built are also crumbling under the pressure of these filings. Take Isabella Ferrara, the young actress who played Blake's younger self. Blake reportedly invited her over for sleepovers, which many saw as a way to recruit her as a friendly witness. But the court documents show that Isabella was actually sending grateful texts to Justin Baldoni the whole time. She praised his respectfulness and professionalism during difficult scenes. Blake's attempt to manufacture a Team Blake atmosphere failed because the people actually on set knew the truth about who was being professional. Even Colleen Hoover, the author of the book, seems to have distanced herself. Initially, Colleen sided with Blake because of a creative disagreement with Justin regarding the sequel. She was looking at the potential for more money and helped Blake try to push Justin out of his own project. But once the public backlash hit and the mean girl narrative took over, Colleen went completely silent. She ghosted Blake the moment things got difficult. It shows that these alliances weren't built on friendship. They were transactional, and they evaporated as soon as the controversy started. The most telling sign that this case is exploding is what is happening in Blake's own home. Ryan Reynolds, who was initially her biggest supporter and legal financier, is starting to create distance. He used to be inseparable from her at events, but lately, he has been showing up alone in Los Angeles. When reporters ask him about the feud, he looks visibly uncomfortable and avoids giving a full-throated defense of his wife. This is a man who is worth $350 million and understands brand management. He is starting to realize that his wife's reputation might be a sinking ship. The social media shift is just as obvious. Ryan's accounts used to be filled with couple goals content, mocking each other in a cute way that built their brand. That content has dried up. He isn't associating himself with her public drama anymore. He is a businessman first, and he knows when to protect his own interests. Watching a husband distance himself from a legal battle he helped fund is a clear indicator that the evidence coming out in these depositions is even worse than what has been made public. He knows the tide has turned, and he is looking for the exit. The final nail in the coffin came from an unlikely source, Zach Galifianakis. On his new Netflix show, he made a direct joke about Ryan Reynolds and the couple's diminishing status in Hollywood. In the entertainment world, once the top-tier comedians start using you as a punchline for being out of touch, your power is gone. The journalist Blake, humiliated back in 2016, even noted that the industry is no longer intimidated by the Reynolds lively machine. They used to be able to bury anyone who crossed them, but now they are the ones fighting for survival in a New York courtroom. At the end of the day, these court filings prove one thing. Blake Lively isn't raging because she was victimized. She is raging because the world finally sees the pattern she has been hiding for decades. You can't hire enough lawyers or spend enough millions to erase years of documented behavior. The Mean Girl label wasn't a gift from Justin Baldoni. It was a reputation she built herself, one dismissive comment and one calculated move at a time. The house of cards is falling, and no amount of pie-in-the-sky math is going to save her from the truth that is finally on the record.